opposite. Vaccines teach our cells how to fight COVID-19. And just like other vaccines, COVID-19 boosters help keep our immunity strong. Share the facts, not the virus. Find a vaccine near you at myturn.ca.gov. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
Can I get an order to the branch in Savannah?
Yep, it's got bananas.
No, Savannah! Savannah!
Yeah, I'm up for bananas and strawberries.
Yeah, maybe instead of giving everyone personal blenders to smoothie baskets, we could just order food from Navigator.
Oh, sorry, Joe, I can't right now. Gotta ship that order out to Savannah.
Some food just doesn't work at work.
Easy Blender just done. Food for work, on time, and as ordered.
From over 82,000 restaurants, order 24/7 at navigator.com.
Today is the day. It's the day you make something huge happen. Today's the day you call the weight loss experts at Best Medical. From your first time nervous call to your very first time you hear, oh my God, you look amazing, they got you. Look, weight loss procedures are covered by most PPO insurance, but coverage is changing all the time. So lock in your benefits now. Today is your day to call 1-800-WESTMED or visit westmedical.com for a free consultation.
I feel incredible because I called 1-800-WEST-MEDICAL.
Your results will vary depending on procedure selected and adherence to program.
1-800-NO-CUPS. Your criminal defense team on call. 1-800-NO-CUPS.
KFI.
More stimulating talk.
An iHeart radio station.
Kfi Am 640. Bill Handel here on a Tuesday morning, March 8th. As we continue the show, the president is scheduled to speak at 7:45 this morning. We're going to carry it live, obviously, and we're told that he is going to talk about sanctions, more sanctions, and that is cutting off the importation of Russian energy, is the word that's used. We don't. So it becomes symbolic with us cutting off the energy supplies coming from Russia. It's Europe. If Europe joins cutting off, now we're talking some serious sanctions, but here's the problem. That means Europe gets nailed. And are they prepared? Are those countries prepared to do that? So this thing has a lot of pieces going. Question is, what happens now? As we're looking at the video and the news reports coming out, not only have the Ukrainians, with the days of airstrikes and shelling across a bunch of cities since the invasion began on February 24th, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. The Russians have doubled down, Putin has doubled down, and civilian targets are now being hit. I mean, he's not even pretending. He's purposely using dumb bombs. Not smart bombs. Smart bombs being targets are specified, and you can take these bombs and literally target a building, a tower, a window in some cases, and the cruise missile, the bomb goes right there. Dumb bombs you just shell indiscriminately. I mean, you shell in the general area, and whatever goes down. If the shelling is in a with the artillery goes into a residential area, which is what's happening, buildings are taken out with people in them. So, better equipped Russian military, showing no signs of de-escalation, has already claimed to have taken control of several areas of Ukraine, although the Ukrainian resistance has been extraordinary. And then the big question is, once they've taken over, now what do? I mean, the Russians become an occupying force. So they go ahead and put into place a puppet government, and they have to have Russian forces there, because are the Ukrainian army or the Ukrainian police going to police their own people on behalf of Russia? I mean, I don't know. Probably not. Robert Abrams, retired general who was former commander of U.S. forces in Korea, says what's happening is Putin is becoming even more resolved. And he pointed to comments Putin made on Saturday, just a few days ago, about Ukraine's statehood. Plain language. Russia is intent to invade, occupy, and make Ukraine part of Russia. The name Ukraine will disappear or go back to the Ukraine, the part of Russia that's known as the Ukraine. It's like the Midwest, the Atlantic seaboard. all part of the U.S. So the Ukraine becomes once again part of Russia and a Russian sphere. And he is intent, at least it was called Ukraine during Stalin's time. Now it's just going to be Russia, according to what Putin said. And also, what happened just a few days ago in a news conference, Zelensky was asked, how long can Ukrainians hold out? And he said, I don't know. You are not getting any propaganda from Zelensky. He is just outright saying what is going on. So why aren't we entering? Because World War III might start because Putin is crazy. Now, that doesn't mean hundreds of millions of dollars of military aid is not coming to Ukraine from the U.S. and more from NATO and EU countries. But it is kind of interesting that a flyover, a no-fly zone over Ukraine by any of the Allied forces, any Western forces, is effectively a declaration of war. But supplying Ukrainians is not. That is his line, Putin's line. That's a demarcation as far as he's concerned. Now, what if he were to say, supplying Ukrainian forces, I also deem a declaration of war? Do supplies stop? Probably. Because, again, we can't take a chance on World War III. And he's already made it clear that any Air Force base or any military base used to fly not so much even Ukraine, but anything that attacks Russian forces any place, if a base is used, that's a conflict. That is a declaration of war. So let's say you have American planes, European planes using Romania as a base. Romania also is part of declaring war on Russia. So Ukraine is going to be gone as of this war. And then the question is, right next to Ukraine is Moldova. Same position. Part of the Russian sphere during the Soviet era. Not a member of NATO, a partner, but not a member of NATO. So once again, Article 5 doesn't kick in, saying an attack on any country of NATO is an attack on all of the country of NATO, and they have to go to war. There is no choice under Article 5. And so with Putin, I can't imagine Putin attacking a NATO member. I can see him invading a non-member of NATO, and next up is Moldova. And we'll see if that does it. Or is the fear of World War III so great that he's bailing out of that one? There is a Russian radio station that's broadcasting Russian propaganda. It's pretty stunning as to where it is. This is really interesting stuff. And that's coming up. But first, let's check in with Jennifer, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Jennifer.
Well, as you mentioned, Randall, at 7:45, President Biden will reportedly announce a ban on Russian oil imports. We already know that this is coming down. But also it's being reported that Biden expects to ban Russian energy imports today. The White House says that Biden will speak to the nation about actions to continue to hold Russia accountable for the war in Ukraine. A scene in the new movie, The Batman's, being criticized as insensitive, shows a group of men following an Asian man off a subway planning to assault him, but they're stopped by Batman. Many people on social media called the scene triggering given increased violence against the Asian American community. And country star Miranda Lambert is celebrating a moment she's been waiting a long time for. She finally won the big prize at last night's Academy of Country Music Awards. She accepted the Entertainer of the Year video, or Entertainer of the Year award by video, saying it broke her heart to miss the show. We'll check your drive on the 57 in just a moment.
If you're thinking about refinancing, or even if you're not, I'm going to suggest you think about refinancing your home. Here's why. Inflation has yet to hit interest rates, mortgage interest rates. So they're still historically low, and I mean money is cheap. And at the same time, the value of your house has increased dramatically because of property values. And so you're sitting on a ton of equity, doing nothing, earning no money. Why wouldn't you borrow against the equity at these rates and then invest the money? You're paying 3%, you're making 5%? Why wouldn't you? Or you're going to remodel, or college tuition, it really doesn't matter. Money is so cheap. HMS Capital, I'm recommending HMS Capital. I've done 2 mortgages with these people. Recommend that you apply with a competitor at the same time you apply with them. They're the only lender I know that does this. They're that confident they can get you that best deal. Call 833-255-5698, 833-255-5698. Visit hmscapital.com.
HMS Capital Funding is a DBA of Congress and Finance. Criminal Academy of the 2012 HMS Capital advised by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. Under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. License number 4130360. Equal housing lender.
SoCal weather from KFI, sunny today with highs from the mid-60s at the beaches to the mid-70s inland. This report is brought to you by driveway.com. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. Let's check the 57.
Boy, a lot of slow-moving traffic here, that's for sure. Getting out of Diamond Bar around the 60 all the way down to Anaheim in the 91. It's just plain slow. The only thing I saw all the way down here was a brig that was barely to the shoulder a little bit before Orangeville. But gosh, even the carpet thing is kind of slow. So you got to allow enough time for that drive, that's for sure. And look at the West End, 57-605 is just plain slow again. Same thing to the 60, going over towards the 605. San Fernando Valley, one thing I want to warn you about, we just got word of an eastbound 118 at Woodlands before the 405. Big a lot of activity to the shoulder. Be careful, kind of bumpy up here. Just bump, AFI in the sky.
Car shortages? What car shortage? Head to driveway.com today to shop more than 25,000 new and used cars in Driveway's nationwide inventory. Driveway.com. That's driveway.com.
This report is sponsored by Del Taco. Crispy Jumbo Shrimp is back in Del Taco's new cheesy, melty, toasty, stuffed quesadilla Jumbo Shrimp Tacos. Get them with fresh guacamole, too. Stuffed quesadilla Jumbo Shrimp Tacos. Only for a limited time. And only at Del Taco. Del yeah.
Your electric bill keeps going up. The cost of solar has gone way down. It's time to go solar with local veteran-owned Semper Solaris now. And get all the benefits. Here's veteran, founder, and owner Kelly Shawhan.
In the military, when you give your word, it's just as your word. You work hard to keep your word, and that's what we do every single day. I heard about Semper Solaris and found that they were veterans, so I knew they were going to do the job right.
Add Tesla Powerwall and be ready for blackouts. We get the job done with esprit de corps and honor. Semper Solaris offers new heating and air conditioning systems with a lifetime warranty and new roofs with a 50-year warranty. We hire vets and give back to the community with our Semper Cares initiative. Go solar American style with Semper Solaris. 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments until 2023. Get the federal 26% solar and battery tax credit. Call 877-211-5591 or visit sempersolaris.com. 26% federal tax credit based on eligibility. On approved credit. Consult your tax advisor. Cannot be combined with any other offers. New customers only. Some restrictions apply. Call or see website for details. Expires 3/31/2022. CSW number 978-152.
Hey, all, it's Dean Sharp. Are you looking to sell your home in 2022? Well, congratulations. That is a big deal. For most of us, it's the biggest deal of all. So let's make sure you get everything out of it that you can, yeah? Before you get ready to list, make sure you call the good folks at Revive. Revive's business is to maximize your home's sale value. How? By guiding you through market-critical upgrades before you sell. It's like flipping your own home, except Revive fronts the cost and guarantees results. Yeah, you heard that right. No money out of pocket and a higher selling price guaranteed. You can list higher and sell faster in just a few short weeks. In fact, the average homeowner sees $160K in additional profit. This is a no-brainer. Revive has created an easy, stress-free way to maximize your greatest asset, your home. So, are you thinking about selling? Then before you do anything, chat with an advisor at Revive. To get started, go to iloverevive.com. That's iloverevive.com.
The LA Association of Deputy District Attorneys voted overwhelmingly to favor the recall of their boss, LA County DA George Gascon.
This is everybody coming together to get rid of this guy. Everybody.
It's your moral obligation to do this, John and Ken.
Weekdays at 2.
Get out, George Gascon resigns.
On KFI.
KFI AM 640. Bill Handel on a Tuesday, March 8th. A lot going on. The count of the refugees, the UN says 2 million have already fled the war. And the UN is also saying we're looking at the possibility of 10 million refugees before this thing is over. Also, the president is speaking this morning, scheduled at 7:45, and he'll be talking about additional sanctions against Russia. And afterwards, I'll be trying to dive into it and explain what it all means. And I think the sanctions, as described this morning, are not going to mean a whole lot. But I'll get into that after the president speaks. There is a tiny little station on Washington, D.C., WZHF, AM. And it's a talk station, and it has round-the-clock talk and news. But every hour, there's a disclaimer. Quote, this radio programming is distributed by RM Broadcasting on behalf of the Federal State Unitary Enterprise, Rossiya Segovia International Information Agency, Moscow, Russia. If you want additional information, it's available at the Department of Justice, Washington, D.C. It was a former Spanish language state, about 11 miles east of the White House. And this is all about Russia and Putin. This is the flagship station of the Soviet Union in the United States, outright selling Kremlin's point of view. And even though there have been legal and political challenges, guess what? It has been on the air, it stays on the air, it is on the air, and still broadcasting the message from the Kremlin. It's one of 5 outlets in the United States that air the English language broadcast of Radio Sputnik, produced in Moscow and Washington under direct supervision of the Russian government. Wow, pretty impressive. Now, American distributors and European governments have banned RT since Russia's attack. So with that, how does WZHF still offer Russian propaganda? It's an interesting story about how they've been able to get around this, the sanctions, etc. First of all, the station itself. It's a straight-out talk station. Names like Political Mystics is one of its shows, or By Any Means Necessary is another show. And it's pretty slick. It's right in the realm of conservative talk radio. I mean, it fits right in. It'll sound like any other well-run conservative radio station. And it has normal discussions, organ transplantation, recycling, paranormal activity, sort of the Russian version of George Noory, except by an American, who is the host. However, a lot of these hosts offer commentary about what? America's perceived flaws, racism, inequity, economic and educational inequity, political dysfunction, and also a lot of skepticism and outright denial of Russian influencing the 2016 election. And also, these talking heads tend to justify Russia's invasion of Ukraine straight out. A Washington, D.C. station is in favor of the invasion, saying outright, Ukrainian crimes caused this. Ukrainian crimes against the Russian-speaking population in Donbass, encroachment into a Russian country. And of course, we'll never use the word war or invasion. It's a military operation, the intervention. And even to the point where one of the commentators just said that the fear is the United States could give nuclear weapons to Ukraine. The United States is about to arm Ukraine with nukes. We can't be confident that America will be a responsible member of the international community. I mean, it is blatant. And let's go on. The economic sanctions, they're not denying it, but they're saying they're doomed to backfire. The United States and the Western allies are going to really get nailed. They even put an American economist, a guy by the name of Jack Rasmus, who predicted that the sanctions are going to lead to a 20% stock market decline, probably true, a $1 per gallon spike in gas prices, probably true. The problem is, who's at fault? And it's real simple, who's at fault. We are at fault as far as the Russians are concerned. Even to the point where it is so blatant that members of Congress are going, what the hell's going on? But what do we have that they don't have over there? Freedom of speech. And complicating it, and this is sort of inside baseball about radio, is a company owns the station which is not owned by the Russian media giant, RT, or the owner of RT, the people that produce RT. What they do is they buy airtime from the station and it becomes a brokered station. I mean, literally, there are brokers, there are middlemen that sell airtime. And so when you hear on brokered stations where there are, well, basically infomercials, you know, I don't want to name names, KEIB, but there are certain stations that literally just sell their airtime. And I love it. I mean, I'll go places where I'm recognized and I'll be handed a card from someone who goes, hey, we're in the same business. Really? Because I'm on radio too. I go, well, congratulations. What station? Some station we've never heard of. You know, some station out of San Bernardino that produces, 4 watts in some kid's basement. And so when are you on? 1 to 2 a.m. on Sunday. Really? Good for you. And what do? They buy the time. You buy it. You want to be a radio guy? You go to these stations and I'm willing to buy the time to be a radio host. Sometimes it's a vanity call, sometimes it's a legitimate business interest, but the point is that this is a brokered situation, and that is how RT is getting away with this. And it's convoluted because the station is not owned by RT, and the laws are such that they can get away with it. Now, can the laws be changed by Congress? Yeah, probably. But here's the reality. It's such a crappy little station. It's I think there are 40 stations in the market in Washington, D.C. They're number 40. So they have 3 listeners. And so they're getting a lot of attention, as you can imagine, because it's a propaganda arm. But think of this. We're in the middle of an invasion. The entire world is sanctioning, or at least the Western world, is sanctioning Russia for doing this. Putin is, at this point, not only hated, but also we're frightened of what Putin can do. And there is an American radio station 11 miles from the White House broadcasting Kremlin propaganda. You know that phrase, only in America? I'm going to repeat it. Only in America. Coming up, let's go to housing, because that's the topic we talk about a whole lot. Why are housing costs in California specifically so high? First, let's check in with Jennifer Jones-Lee, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Agency says its country's forces have killed a second Russian general within days of a first general being killed last week. The Ukrainians say the general was killed near Kharkiv. The claim could not be independently verified. Items donated to an eye doctor who works in Beverly Hills and Santa Monica are heading for people in her home country of Ukraine. Dr. Svetlana Pulignia sent an email last week to her patient at the Asil Eye Institute asking for donations. She says a cargo plane's already been filled, and she's looking to raise funds for another.
There are amazing people behind the scenes who have said I was sponsoring airplanes, and we're looking for these people, honestly, because to tell you the truth, while there's personnel, power, supplies, at the end of the day, it all stops if we can't get it into Ukraine.
Puligina says she is taking donations continuously. Her parents live in Ukraine. News is brought to you by the Cunning Dental Implant Center. A memorial service will be held this morning for a Huntington Beach police officer killed in a helicopter crash. Nicholas Vela is survived by his wife and daughter. The helicopter he was on went down last month in Newport Beach. A procession will travel from the Huntington Beach Police Department to the Honda Center in Anaheim, where the service is scheduled to start at 10. The Senate passed the anti-lynching hate crimes bill, and it's now on the way for President Biden to sign. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the bill honors the memory of 14-year-old Emmett Till, who was killed in 1955.
After more than 200 failed attempts to outlaw lynching, Congress is finally succeeding in taking the long overdue action by passing the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act.
The bill was passed on a voice vote. Disney CEO has refused to put out a public statement against Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. The measure would ban discussions in kindergarten through third grade about the sexual orientation or gender identity of a student. CEO Bob Chapek says Disney is committed to inclusivity and stands with its LGBTQ employees. And if you need a boost of encouragement, just call the kids.
Mad or frustrated, press 1.
Comfort pillow or cry on it.
Pep Talk is a free hotline from the kindergarten class of West Side Elementary in Healdsburg, north of San Francisco. Jessica Martin says she was inspired by her students' positive attitude despite the pandemic, wildfires, and just the everyday challenges of being a kid. Pep Talk launched February 26th, and 2 days later, they were up to 700 callers an hour. You can call 707-998-8410 and get the good word from the mouths of babes.
If you're nervous, go get your wallet and spend it on ice cream and food.
Michael Crozier, KFI News.
A child is my spirit animal. We'll get your problems on the 5 after we check sports with Wayne.
Not everything is still a dispute in the baseball lockout. Players in the league have agreed to implement a pitch clock in 2023, along with bigger bases. That change follows a test run in the minors. The thought is bigger bases will reduce collision injuries and allow for more successfully stolen bases, thus amping up the excitement factor. The Kings took the Bruins into overtime until Andreas Anthony ended the tie. What a game! What a night! Final score, 3-2. And the Ducks are at the Chicago Blackhawks today at 5:30. I'm Wayne Resnick, KFI Sports.
Navigating Medicare can really be overwhelming. Now, whether you're on Medicare or you're about to go on Medicare, a lot of plans out there, and they change every single year. And you have a different situation, a different budget than, for example, your neighbor does. So let me suggest attending a free dinner and educational Medicare seminar being put on by AGA Medicare Options. And what they'll do is explain to you exactly what the plans are, what makes sense for you in terms of the lowest out-of-pocket cost for pharmaceuticals, what doctors take Medicare. They simply know what they're doing and going to help you figure it out. That's AGA Medicare Options. So the seminar includes dinner, and don't bring your checkbook. There'll be no sales. There'll be no enrollments. We'll have upcoming events in San Diego, Santa Ana, Irvine, LA. Go online for a full list of dates and locations. Now, parents who get on your cell phone and say My Medicare. Parents who get on your cell, say My Medicare, or visit AGAMedicareOptions.com.
SoCal weather from KFI. Should be a mostly sunny and breezy day, but the winds will be much less than they were yesterday. Has to be in the 60s and 70s today. Tomorrow, partly cloudy and cooler with highs just in the 50s and 60s. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. We're going back to the 5.
Well, it's good Thursday coming through Santa Ana Canyon. We just made that flight. That was kind of strange. But we're in Orange County, the L4Y, if you will, but North 5, North 405 split. It's a pretty good shape. Really, coming out from Southern Orange County, really nothing to worry about. Both freeways would be a little slow approaching to 55. When I mentioned the South 405, it's just not to allow for this, the construction zone, 22 down to 55. It's just plain slow going. Northbound fares a whole lot better. And do want to give you a heads up if you just aren't as a living